It's another episode of Around the Mage Table, episode 17. It's your boy Frank, joined with Shawnee. I'm going to go around the other way this time today. So, Shawnee, how are you doing today?
I am doing super rad, bro.
All right, cool. Scrap, how are you doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah. Tech, I've heard you had a tough night today. Is that true?
Why you got to do that, man? Yeah, it was a rough
Starts
night.
it right off.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here, though. Thank you.
Good. I really do look forward to every week getting to meet up with y'all. We are growing the channel, which is awesome. I will say that we actually have officially hit a milestone where we are now able to monetize the channel, but I don't think we're going to. Now, we all have, big kid jobs.
Hang on. Get back to the monetization thing, because
I don't know what it entails. I've looked at it and, God knows we'll make pennies, but I just figured we'd leave it ad free if we can. Now, that being said, if Google starts putting ads on it, then no, I'm gonna say forget it. Then we're gonna.
I'll let you know because I normally open it up to look at the comments.
we could absolutely monetize. Like, I don't know. Let's get Razer. I could talk about this Steel Series mouse.
No, yeah, promotions is another story. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Apart over here.
That's totally fine. I'm just not. I'm not trying to put
M&Ms.
ads on the podcast.
Okay, well, we're advertising at MythicDungeonLeague.com.
Yes, that'll be at the end though. Oh, actually,
Okay,
no.
at the
Thank you
end.
for reminding me. Okay, look, we got a contest this week. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's sponsored by my wallet, but that's okay because I'm still excited about it. So, I am going to award 1 month of game time. Now, granted, there is some limitations to that. Any legalese that you expect to hear with any contest that you see online or in the television show is in place here. But if you are able to, yes, Shawnee, your hand up already.
Does that 1 month come with or without a free mount? That's all I need to know.
No,
Without.
because this is a free
sorry.
month. This is a free month, so you can't have
I
a
know.
double dipped free. I'm sorry.
Ah,
Yeah, that'd be a negative
Buy
free.
one, get one requires a buy one before you get one.
yeah. That's
But here's what. Okay, let's go over what we want from the contest. Okay, so first and foremost, Mythic Dungeon League at gmail.com. Yeah, I was losing that. Mythic Dungeon League at gmail.com. Okay, I want to see people's war bands in their best and brightest. Okay, so we are going to use obviously your transmog as part of the qualifications. Your character names will be taken into account, probably more of as a tiebreaker, but they will be important. And you got to choose how everything looks. And if you email us a picture of it, we will award the best. Hopefully next week. I think next week would be a good time. Just get 1 week out of this. So that contest will end, let's just say August 1st. And if you have the best transmog, best looking warband, we will award you a free month of gay time. If you are not in an area where we can do that, because for some reason Blizzard has a stupid system about not allowing you to gift things on their store, we will find another way to make sure that we get you your prize. But looking forward to those submissions again, mythicdungeonleague at gmail.com. All right, cool. And I look forward to seeing even these three's submissions.
Not a sponsor.
I need to
sponsored by
do
the
mine.
Mythic Dungeon League. That's who's being sponsored by, okay?
scrap.
Yeah.
I think we should give extra points to anyone that uses their phone to take the picture of
No,
their
Oh, I'm
screen.
definitely taking my phone. I get the best lighting.
No.
Yeah.
If you submit a JPEG from your phone's camera reel, it will be denied. You will not win.
It's
We
so
have
much
the right
work.
to
I'm putting
refuse
an extra,
any submission that annoys me.
It's an extra layer of artistry,
Okay, let's jump back to last week's episode. All right, we did a poll.
No less.
We did a poll. I'm going to cover that in a second here. But a big topic of last week's episode was the tank changes and whether they were as drastic as they seemed. And all I've heard is doom and gloom. There's a surprising amount of people who say this is good for the game, I think. But I went into the beta. I've tried my DK and my Prop Paladin. Now I've heard Prop Paladin is effectively dead in the water. It didn't feel that bad, although it was a little tougher. And of course, Word of Glory still doesn't do enough healing. But I did my Blood Death Knight as well. The Blood Death Knight had a pretty drastic change done to it that stopped it from overhealing like crazy. So just for those who are not aware, in Blood Death Knights, you have your Death Strike that takes a look at the last 5 seconds of damage. And I don't think it heals up 100% of it. I think it's like 75%. Heals whatever you've taken in the last 5 seconds. Well, in the past, it was able to double dip. And the way that they phrased it in the blue post was, it's effectively like being able to go back in time and block damage, which you obviously can't do as any other class. So they stopped allowing that to happen. So if you get hit with like a million, and then you Death Strike, and then got hit with another million. In the past, you'd get to be able to heal the 3 million part of it, whereas now it's only 1 million. Okay. I did a dungeon, and for the first time I've seen in a long time, a healer out-healed the Blood Death Knight. Which,
so there's something being tweaked.
Definitely something big there. It didn't feel any harder, I'd say, other than the fact that, yes, it like wasn't a free healing constantly. But I definitely did have to think a little bit more about when I was using my Death Strike, which is, I think, a good gameplay change.
Yeah.
But Technique, have you gotten on to play Prot Warrior at all?
No, man, no, because I've been dying in hardcore. No, but
Another one. But wait, it was what level did you die? You were on your mage, so you lost your priest last week.
34.
So you didn't make it past 37. I won the bet again.
No,
So-
what about your third character, Technique?
Oh, he's level 9.
He's going all the way.
Yeah, for sure.
He's
okay.
going all the
Just
way.
haven't- I
That
haven't played
contest
it
we're running,
forever.
Scrap, Shawnee, you guys are now paying for since you've lost the bet twice.
No,
I
wish
I
I
didn't make any
could,
bet.
I live in Canada and they won't let me do that to
Oh,
America.
sorry.
So I didn't try it, but I did make a comment on the YouTube comments, which is important also.
Yeah.
And I made the comment that maybe they should just make heals, like make tanks take more healing from external heals. Wouldn't that make a lot of sense?
I think that there's maybe something there, right? I feel like, oh god, I'm trying to remember what they were talking about in some of the like I think the Potties even had a recommendation that like I don't know, maybe it was the external heals too. But like yeah, where do you go?
John
You
Cena.
lost him.
It's John Cena.
Sorry, man.
I was having a
What-
thought out conversation. I was thinking about what you said, putting some heart
He
and
did
soul
a
into the
mic
thought,
drop and a
and then he just
walkout.
ran away. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, there could be something there. I don't know if that's necessarily it because I don't know. Then like maybe in raid things would get out of hand as well. I don't know. But I will say this: in my experience in the beta, not as doom and gloom as everyone's making out to be. It is harder. We will get to some of that in a little bit with the iLvl changes, and they're not drastic, but there are some changes coming to the iLvl dispersion in gearing. But I did want to go ahead and share the results of the poll. So we asked you, the YouTube viewers, and it looks like 63 people voted, so almost as much as last week. But it is a razor-thin margin of 51-49. With the
Man, last
majority,
week we had a really thin margin too.
yeah, 55-45, which by the way, we had more people go back and vote for, and it still ended up 55-45, so that's
Oh, wow.
interesting, if anything. But yeah, so a lot of people say this is good for the health of the game and an overall win. I do want to say that there's obviously a lot left to be determined out of this, because, you know, I didn't have to kite on the beta, but I also wasn't running. I think I only ran like 2s just to see what everything was like.
Yeah.
Now the item level reflected that, but I don't think it felt like I had to kite yet. And again, I want to refer back to what we said last week, where it was like, if you're kiting, it's probably because you're pushing something that is really hard to push, or you're maybe like outplaying your iLvl. And at that point, that's a signal that maybe you shouldn't belong there. So
Did you respec at all to be a little more defensive? Did you do anything different, or did you just go back in? No changes.
I always play my tanks defensive.
Okay, so you didn't change anything between the previous weeks and your trying these changes?
I felt like everything was where I wanted it in the first place.
I would love to see if we run this poll when we're like a month into War Within.
Oh, we
again.
definitely will revisit. We definitely will revisit.
So like literally 1 month after Mythic Plus is already in effect, any kind of like bug fixing and balancing has probably gone through a little bit. People are starting to get gear, getting tier sets. Then we run the poll again and see if, because right now we're just basing on vibes.
Yeah, and Shawnee,
much.
will you be healing going into War Within?
Probably not, because I love myself.
I think you're gonna
But,
be a rogue, Shawnee, as your main.
I was just gonna say we should probably like have a healer perspective when we have that conversation.
There is a chance that I'll also be healing at the same time. Some people approached me about healing them. So
wow, I just approached you about healing me.
I think there'll be a lot of conversations to be had. And again, we'll get to this a little bit later because there's some changes coming with how the season's unfolding and everything like that. But I just want to revisit cool information. So we will move on to today's topics, starting with pre-patch has launched. Who's logged in? Who's looked at their warbands, etc.?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just logged in, looked at my warbands. I didn't fuck with my UI and talents and setup yet, so
Yeah,
I kind of did the opposite.
You
I
just
kind
did
of
your
just
UI.
logged into my dude and played with the new UI and started like trying to tweak some things. I
So
didn't really play with the warband situation yet.
has anyone run dungeons of any sort?
No, not yet. I
No.
mean, the game went live so late yesterday.
Yeah, it did
It
go.
was-
So let's talk about how this all unfolded, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
I ran 2 dungeons, or maybe, yeah, I think I only ran 1. But it is clear to me that there's a lot going on with this. So first and foremost, game didn't open. The servers didn't open until I think it was like 11:30 Eastern Standard. So they originally planned on having them open 3 Pacific, which is 6 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
And it took an additional 5 hours to get the servers up, and with that they had to post that there were a ton of bugs. I don't want to say a ton of bugs. There were bugs, right? One of them being, a lot of crashes, but one of them being that you have a warband bank. So here you can see that there's a quest to get your warband bank, and you should have automatically got it when you logged in. It's called Warbands, Warbanding Together, Warband. And apparently they had to shut it off, right? Because there's a critical error. Now this may have been why they had to postpone extend the maintenance to get it out. I don't know if this is directly connected to it. We probably will never know. But this isn't the only bug that we've seen so far. For example, the final bosses of Mythic have been bugged. Some good, some bad. I'm not really going to go into the details of it other than knowing that right now Mythic is crazy.
Somebody shared a screenshot of 2, was it Smolderons or something?
No, Tendril.
No, it wasn't. It was the
No,
Centaur guy.
it was the Centaur guy. What? Low.
Scroll back up. Scroll back up. It was right there. Scroll back down.
No,
it
it's
Tendril.
not.
Mythic
No, it
Tendril.
wasn't
Tendril.
Tendril.
Tendril's not
Yes, it
lying.
was.
No, this is Tendril. He's not
Oh my
landing.
God. No.
No, I know what you're talking about, Scrap. It was the Centaur guy.
Here it is.
Flame
It's
Render or whatever.
Laradar.
Laradar, that's it. Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. The guy in our community bot. He presented. He says, "I present," and he sends the screenshot of 2 of them. There's something wrong there.
Yep.
But
But
he changed the picture, changed the name of the dude. I'm pretty sure it was Tendril.
I'm looking at it. It's a freaking centaur on the ground. I'm looking.
I guess
I'll put that picture up, Frank. You have to edit it in.
it might be
we'll let
it
the
might be
viewers
fake
decide
news, Scrap. It might be digitally altered.
Okay, people in
AI.
the comments, tell me if this is AI. Here's
So-
the picture.
So okay, so we have this now.
Thank you,
In fairness, I don't think anyone's really too stressed about rating right now. I don't think you can get any of the mounts or anything from achievements, right? So not a huge deal, right? The warband thing, not a huge deal.
Well, you presume a lot, Frank. I mean, I was
I do
listening
presume
to
a lot, yeah.
Roar and Io trying to just do Raid Finder and just do a couple like low keys and just kept getting kicked off and kicked out the queue, and it's just it's unplayable.
We also have some talent trees that
the paladin
aren't
thing.
adding up. So first and foremost, Ret seems to be entirely what it was pre-patch or pre.
They forgot to turn on the button.
Wow.
Right?
Flip the switch.
Enhancement Shaman has changed, but some of the talents, like for example, the ones that they made where they reduced the talent counts from 2 to 1, are not in there. And Survival, Bloody Claws doesn't have all its upgrades. Windwalker Monk
I see it.
doesn't have its buff. I say all this because I thought this was a bug, but then Blizzard today said that these are intended.
What? That paladins just don't get their tree?
They said that there have been some things on the beta that have changed, right? But these are coming within the full War Within expansion.
They
And
put
between
some-
now and then, they may deploy things, urgent tunings, etc. But they said that what they're seeing is not a bug.
Frank,
This is not a bug.
Yeah.
There's a piece of load-bearing code in the paladin talent tree that they can't move.
I
or the whole
thought for a
thing
second maybe it was
collapses.
just because of like how well they're doing with the
Oh, how well they're doing! You're giving them
with the
so much
legendary.
credit.
No, with the legendary.
Uh,
I thought maybe there was something there, but no. I mean, that really, like, who cares if anyone's okay? Last thing I'll say on this whole bug thing is
you think they'd
apparently-
announce it beforehand instead of afterwards?
maybe,
So.
but like,
This seems like they're covering their ass.
but some specs are just all over the place performing, right?
yeah.
So Roar was on his 511D Frost DK. I think he averaged like 750k DPS in a dungeon, and then went on his monk and only did 500k. His monk is like,
Way
probably
more geared.
15 item levels higher, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on?
It says right here it was working as intended.
Yeah.
So just
Thank you,
This-
Technique.
what it is.
Frost is the new meta, right? So I wanted to just get y'all's feeling. You know, Scrap, you've had a lot of opinions. Technique, you've had a lot of opinions about where your money's going. I don't.
I mean, yeah,
What?
go ahead. That's me. I have the opinions.
Technique, you don't get to walk
Technique
away from this.
doesn't
You don't get to
remember.
distance yourself from this.
He doesn't remember.
That was last week.
What are
Did I
y'all
say
thoughts on the
something
bugs?
about my money going somewhere?
Yeah, you're really upset about.
Oh, okay.
I'm.
Now I remember.
It disappoints me, but I'm trying
Okay.
to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think you have a right to be
yeah.
disappointed.
I mean,
I'm.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, I guess I just get aggravated when they do so much beta work and testing, and if it was a new game, I almost expect it, but like I do expect it with WoW every time they launch like a new big thing that there's going to be like a day of tomfoolery and whatnot. So yeah, it disappoints me a little, but I'm just trying to be like they'll get it fixed and then it'll be fine. I'm on vacation, so I'm not playing a ton, so it's not a huge deal. But yeah, if I'd taken time off work type thing to be like, oh, I can't wait for pre-patch, I would have been frustrated.
I mean, does anyone take time off for the pre-patch though?
Definitely
I mean,
not.
I don't really got
Yeah,
much going on in my
Blizzard
life.
employees.
Sorry.
Take time off a WoW.
Technique, what's your opinion, man? Blizzard employees on PTO?
Well, yeah. That should be the make that the title.
Okay.
No, man. I think it's a slippery slope to be like, oh well, it's pre-patch and season 4. It's the bullshit season. It's a bullshit patch. Get them
Yeah,
some
the login
slack,
screen's
dude,
not a
man.
big deal.
Chill.
No, you don't need to give them the
out.
slack. I don't think.
I think
Yep.
it's a big company, probably the number 1 gaming company as far as I'm concerned, and here we are like releasing dog shit.
Put that seal of approval on.
live players to experience and enjoy, and it's slack, man. It's really slack. But ultimately, I really don't care because I wasn't planning on playing it anyway. So, as
Yeah.
far as the patch goes, the pre-patch,
They can't just keep letting you die in hardcore. Scrap, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, I mean, I don't know a lot about programming or computers. I mean, you have to help me with anything that even burps on my computer.
Which, by the way, your Elden Ring is now working again, right?
It is working. Yeah,
Had a
yeah,
critical
no,
RAM failure.
I don't know anything about technology. It doesn't. I don't do well with it. But it seems to me like if let's say this is like a month into an expansion or something, and maintenance day runs a little long. It's like, oh, we thought it was going to take 2 hours. It's actually going to take 5 hours. It's like, okay, they're fixing bugs. They didn't plan for this. It makes sense to me that fixing something unplanned takes like an indefinite amount of time. But something like this is like they know exactly what they're rolling out. They've done it in beta. They know exactly what they're adding to. It shouldn't be many surprises. Why is it taking so damn long? Like, why do they say we're putting it out? Like, just put it out the next day or something, and don't say you're going to do it on this day. Like, and then it's buggy and doesn't
Put what
work.
out?
And then
Put what out?
put out the patch.
Well,
Put out
you
the
know if they
pre-patch.
delayed the pre-patch one day, people would have lost their minds.
But it's like you've been working on it for like 10 months or something, and you missed the deadline by one day. You need to. There's something wrong there. Like,
I
it
think
should
if they
be done
move
a week ago.
Yeah, and I think even if if it had taken a day to get it out right, like they went to do it, and they're like, "Oh, this screws, we're shutting it all down."
Yeah.
People are going to lose their mind either way. Hence, why we're sitting here talking about it. Not technically losing our minds, but like,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I-
It seems it makes me think. Hey, this again. It's just added on to thing. It's like, dude, what the hell? And then they come out and say, yeah, we didn't add the paladin tree, and that was intentional. We didn't think to even clarify beforehand. Hey, paladins, don't get excited. We're not going to put your tree in, even though we've showed you all this tree. They do it afterwards and said, oh yeah, we weren't going to tell you about that. Haha. Like. It just a cute little surprise from us. You don't get one. Like, what the fuck
I
is
should have
that?
gone back and compared it.
Disorganization.
I should have compared it to what the patch notes said, because it'd be really weird if the
it's in
paladin
there.
should have either paladin should have known this was going to happen because the patch notes said nothing,
Yeah.
no new whatever, or it
Sorry,
did say and they're like,
Johnny.
oops,
On
No,
the
it's
social media team
ridiculous.
said, but wasn't informed that Billy on the programming team.
This is
Didn't-
ass covering. It
Look,
is.
okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna give some context. It's very little experience I have in the area, but I do work
Okay.
somewhat in this space of development now. And I would say that it doesn't surprise me. It is, I'm sure, 10 times, probably 100 times more complicated than I could imagine, right? There is so much to this, of course.
Yeah.
So like things like, for example, it going till midnight last night. That that doesn't bother me. Everyone should know they have big, like, you know, 0.0 patches. Everyone should know it's going to be a shit show for that. Like, you know, they almost always go late. Is 12 o'clock probably the latest I've ever seen it go? Maybe, but again, I wasn't too bent out of shape.
How does this process work? Like, do they not like test a rollout like before it happens?
No, they do. They have the PTR. The PTR, everything was working fine.
Yeah, so why is it not working? I don't know. I don't get it. You know me, I don't get it.
Because
it's like they're turning in their homework late, is what it strikes me as.
No.
Can't they just move the CD from one computer to the other and turn it on and go?
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. It's like you didn't finish it. It's not finished, that's why it doesn't work.
Because first off, right, not only do you have the main branch, right, so you have live retail, you have a beta branch, right?
You got somebody completely dedicated, just like Technique's hardcore deaths, probably taking up tons of RAM on that computer.
Anyways, you have the live branch, you have the beta branch, and you have the PTR branch, right? And so whenever a change is made, the change has to happen across all three at the same time, right? Now, again, this is not to defend anything. I want to be clear. I'm just trying to give context as to what I think.
Yeah, it's helpful.
And so if they, for example, did something very, very, very minor, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the live branch that fixed something, let's say that they, you know, there was this bug with enhancement shamans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they fixed it on live, but someone forgot to put it on the PTR build and forgot to put it on the beta build, or maybe they did. Maybe they did put it on the beta build, like maybe it is on beta, but it's not on. You know, someone miscommunicated, which, by the way, you know, happens all the time. Like I can't even begin to talk about. Huh? Yeah. No, they're on PTO, dude. You can't. You gotta wait till they get back.
You can't.
But anyways, again, this isn't an excuse because, like, for example, the going till 12 o'clock, that happens. That can easily happen. I understand. The Mythic boss bugs, like, yeah, no one ever tested Mythic on the PTR. So we never saw these bugs. Sense. Like, okay, fair enough, right?
But they can't be completely depending on the community to test everything. Like, they have to be testing it themselves, right?
Sure, but they have automated tests, like a computer tests itself, right? But does it know that, you know, Tindrill's not going to land in the middle of the phase because someone landed on the island too early?
Yeah,
because that's like the rumor. The rumor is that if you land on the island before he does, he won't land because he's like, what the hell are you doing on my island, right?
Okay.
So anyways, like, that doesn't surprise me and doesn't bother me at all, right? But these class things, like, not only the talent tree mishap, but also just like, you know, BM, and we're going to get into the tier list we have here in a second, but BM isn't expected to be that amazing, but it's like blowing the charts up that I've seen so far
right now.
And this is just one example. I've heard, like, everyone is saying, like, oh, this class is going crazy. Frosty K is going crazy, right? Like, you know, so like that's where I'm just like, okay. Now it's not a huge deal because if it's working as intended, and then once we get into the war within and all the stats kind of like normalize, that's fine too. But for example, they increased all the secondary stats, right? So if you go look, like, for example, I was my mastery's really on Frankenberry, and I moved from the 10% what do you call it, where you like lose residuals, returning, anyways, diminishing returns, yeah. So like I went from 10% diminishing return to 20%, like my stats all buffed, right?
Yeah.
And that may have broken the way that the stats were weighted before, which is, again, not a huge deal because they might say, who cares? Like, go have fun. Do a million DPS. No one's have fun.
But it's not fun if you're not doing a million DPS.
Sure. But that's not their, like, that's, I'll give you some insight. I cannot begin to tell you how many times as Leo is a developer, here's what someone says. And he can on face value say, like, hey, that does sound like it kind of sucks, right? You're not doing as much DPS as the BM Hunter. You're not doing as much DPS as the Frosty K. But I've got bigger things to fix, and if I spend this time fixing your, you know, season 4 Frosty K problem, I'm gonna be late on the beta. I'm gonna be late on the
but this is
expansion
a product
launch.
that I don't want to keep coming back to paying for because to me it doesn't bother me too much. I don't care. I let the sub run. But like they expect us to be playing this product, like paying for a sub, and the game is unplayable for the next month.
Okay, so you say unplayable. Is it unplayable?
Well, it sounds like the Mythic dungeon or the Mythic bosses are unplayable.
No, I don't think any one of them are game-breaking bugs. Like, they're just like, oh, that happened, that was silly.
balancing is a huge part of what makes the game playable.
Sure, but it's not like, okay, so it's not like anyone's going backwards in balance, right? It's just that some people.
I don't know. You haven't seen everybody. I might log on and I went
Roar's
backwards. I may be
Monk
worse.
seems to be.
No,
Yeah, Roar's Monk was killing it.
No, Roar's
Going
Monk
backwards.
ran with my mage today, and he was able to do I want to say 500k, right?
That's terrible for Roar. It's all the haste. It's
No,
slowing
it's
him down.
not. No, it's not terrible for him.
I don't know. I
down
haven't played
all
much
that
this
haste.
season.
And,
the haste,
and
they've
I
given
would
the
tell
haste
you,
and
we
it's
did
not
a
doing
9
for him.
hauls and we plus 3'd it without a single drop of effort, right? Like it was stupid
Yeah,
easy.
that
So, like,
sounds
if you wanna
unplayable to
argue-
me.
Okay, so if that's what you wanted to find unplayable, I can't, that's your opinion. I'm not gonna-
Unbalanced. I mean, unplayable. Obviously, I'm being dramatic, but like, I mean, what were we saying? Unplayable? Like it literally crashes. Like
No, like
within
you can't
reason,
get the keys done
unplayable.
anymore. You can't, like you said, the
How
raid
about
you can't
not
complete.
enjoyable. Like
Is it
not
okay?
fun.
Well, I can't take that away from you. That's your opinion to say it's
to me,
unenjoyable,
I
but
feel
to me, I
very
don't care.
unmotivated to play because I can't tell if I'm doing well if my character is like exploding, blowing everybody out of the water for like no
Well,
reason. You know what I mean?
But that's where I'd say part of the whole idea behind this community is that we need to give the feedback when things are not necessarily broken on the meter, but broken on the
Okay.
spec, right? So getting on and playing right now, because, I've talked to Technique about this multiple times. If you feel like X, Y, and Z should happen with your class, why aren't you engaging the devs? You can't,
Here's
I'm
what
not
okay,
I'm not
okay.
getting paid to beta test and fucking
That's true.
provide
You're
all
not
their.
paying
who
them.
is? Who's paid to beta test?
Technique, you're
You know what
paying
I'm trying
them
say,
to beta
man.
test
I'm just
their
saying
game.
that when you release the game to the public on live, it should be ready, not
Yeah.
No, but the game's ready. The
continuing
game's
to
ready.
test it.
I,
But this is live service model, I guess. So you're just constantly patching and fixing and allowing the community to beta play.
Do you
your
remember
live
playing
service.
Classic and seeing how many things got broken when they like
it's
this
been
is not
15
new.
years since Classic, Frank. They should have
It's been
fixed
20
this by
years
now.
since Classic.
Well, I don't know. It's been 20 years since Classic. That's not a good like benchmark.
No. Okay, so if you're
Not even
saying that they
remotely good
shouldn't have any
benchmark.
bugs going into a game, like that
I'm
is
not saying they shouldn't
shoddy.
have. No. That's not what I'm saying, Frank. I'm not saying they shouldn't have any bugs. I'm saying that this is like this. Okay, I'm looking at the fucking screen that says Paladins. It's not a bug. We intended not give you your thing. That they
I
should
can't
do better
explain
than that.
I can't,
No, Can you have to say, remember, let's just keep going back to that. You can't explain that. That is covering your ass and doing a bad job.
Well, no, hold on. That's jumping to conclusions, right? They
I'm
may
so okay.
they may very well have done this. Now they poorly communicate it, sure, all that, but don't say they're
Didn't
covering their ass.
communicate.
You can't prove that.
Okay, I'm not in a court of law, Frank. I'm making a decent assumption, I think, based on the
I'm
information
the
given
judge
to
and the
me.
jury, brother.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what,
Anyways.
Frank? I'm not going to beta test their game until they give Paladins their talents. I'm walking out.
Okay, fine.
No. I don't even play Paladin.
Shawnee, anything you want to
Hot
add?
take with the finger too. Just the,
Yeah.
I mean, no.
No, I said
You're the
no.
one that's
What we gotta
impacted
talk
this.
about next.
You're the one impacted
No,
by the
nothing
most by
more.
this. How do you feel?
I'm trying to be the positive one, and I feel like I get it. Yeah, it seems dumb to me that
Okay.
like they're like, we're not going to give you your tree. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't
and,
make
like,
sense. I agree.
And I don't remember seeing anywhere beforehand them being like, this is going to happen. Like, of all the YouTube videos and stuff I watched about Brett Patley particular leading up, I don't remember seeing one where they're like, just so you know, like I read a blue post where they said we're not getting any of the changes. So
Yeah.
it to me it
Suspicious.
doesn't make sense. I guess if I can equate it to my work, it'd be like if someone's like, I'm coming for a tattoo tomorrow, and then I show up and they're like, did you draw it? I'm like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I didn't draw it.
but we're not doing the color today.
I
We're
don't
gonna.
know. That is gross
Yeah.
overestimation of what that is,
No,
but okay.
that's
No,
that's
that
how it
sounds
feels.
right.
Like I showed up to
Working with
play
a client.
the new Rep Pally, and they're like, "Yeah, we forgot to tell you. We didn't do that. We told
No,
you all about how we
no.
were going to do it." And then we're just,
Yeah, no,
No, they were
I
really
agree with
stuff.
Shawnee. That's
And
exactly
the-
what it is. We
The
didn't
worst
tell
thing
you.
is, it's definitely a CYA because look at the last line. It's like, oh, by the way, between now and then, we might just release some urgent
But
tuning and bug
I
fixes.
will
that-
eat my hat. I will eat my hat if next week all those things are implemented. I will
I
eat
want
my
a
hat on
fucking
that.
video of eating your hat,
Yes, I
like-
will.
I'm excited for whatever we're talking about next. So
Okay,
what's
I think
next?
we have talked this into
Yes,
ground,
okay.
but I'd be shocked if anybody will back up what you said of like,
no.
this isn't them
I'm
covering
not,
their ass.
No, well, I will say that this may not be. I don't want to say with certainty, but I don't think it's fair to say with
I'll say
certainty.
it with certainty
This is,
for you.
yeah, I know you will because you're an ass. All
Can
right,
you say which?
I'm not
which hat?
wrong. You're
hat?
gaslighting me. Yeah,
Yeah.
which hat?
it's gonna be that chocolate hat I keep in the freezer.
Oh, a chocolate hat.
Now,
Fair.
our next topic. I want to say before I introduce this topic, which is a recurring segment on the show now, that I feel like we should take a little credit here. Since our debut episode, where we talked about why tier lists are the stupidest thing ever, I feel like there's been a sea change in almost every content creator that I've engaged with, where they are
We're
literally
trendsetters.
Yeah, we are trendsetters.
With our
Can we
1,000
take
views
credit
a
for
video.
that? Do you guys think?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm going
patting
to.
you all on the back. Yep.
I'm pretty sure, by the way,
Meta?
that first video doesn't even have 1,000
Meta?
views. It's like
No,
600.
it doesn't. Absolutely not.
But those 600 people were all other content creators, and like
Mhm.
these guys are right.
So,
yeah, they
girls.
were. Yep.
our reoccurring segment, MetaMeta. I will preface this before I show it to y'all that this is a way too early look at what the meta is going to be for season 1 for 2 reasons. One, tuning is still not done, right? I'd argue it's not even going to be done until season 1 officially starts, and even then, probably a week or two into it, we'll still be tuning. But 2, it has been really hard to find meta or tier lists so far because people acknowledge that, and I'll quote Max here saying that this is the worst he's seen tuning, 4 weeks out or 6 weeks out before the season starts.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm going to put an asterisk on this. I do think that Blizzard knows exactly what they're doing. I think that they got the pre-patch out, and now all they're going to do is say tune, right? Because they've been tuning like crazy anyways, but they need to fix things is what they need to do, and that I won't promise will happen. But anyways, here's our current meta for season 1 of War Within.
Maybe you should clarify how do we get the meta because
So,
only 600 people saw that other one.
Thank you for taking. No, that was in a different episode, but yeah, I get what your point is.
Okay. Yeah.
So here's how the meta works. Okay, what we do is we take a Metacritic, a meta aggregate score of all the tier lists that are handed to us or we find for ourselves, and we create a spreadsheet. I'll flash a quick look at the spreadsheet here in a second. It's only got like 4 or 5 entries, and what will happen is that we'll score it. So it's a 1 to, I think 6 is like the highest I've seen tier lists go, 6 different tier designations, and then create an average score for how they score on all the other tier lists. Okay. And then if they fall into a certain range, so for example, the S tier is they have to score between a 1 and a 1.5. They will then land on that within our meta list. So this is what we're looking at. Now I will say that the tier lists that I've seen, and again, I've only seen 4 or 5 of them, are all over the place for what they're recommending, right? Some people are down on Prop Paladin bad, which I kind of agree with. One of them put them as S tier on their list, I think. Ridiculous.
That brought the average up.
Og and Arcane have been top of
Consistently
almost
top,
everyone's list, except for I think there was one that had Arcane at like D tier, and the other one at like Og at B tier or something. But anyways, I thought you guys would want to take a look at this. I'm documenting it for the sake of what will happen when we get to actual season 1 and what we can look at throughout the season. But we will update the meta list as we go through. Any thoughts from y'all?
This is perfect for me because I only want to look at one tier list. And this is the good average. So this is the one I'm gonna base my character choice on. So I will be playing an Arcane Mage next season.
I was super hyped coming into the pre-patch because like when I do training dummy damage, I'm like 1.2 million overall. I'm like, hell yeah. And then we went into the dungeon, I was like only 560k or something. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Now, my rotation has changed a little bit, so I need practice. But anyways, point is, I don't know if it's going to even be S tier when we get into it. We'll see. Maybe I just need my hero talent that badly.
Fear.com has definitely been talking about anybody in S gets the nerf hammer hard. So
they've been nerfing.
You don't want to be an S, you want to be an A+.
They've been nerfing Arcane like crazy, and even then, I still don't think it's done, and I'm sure they will continue it. Og got
Blood
nerfed
is really
last
highly.
week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I was looking. Blood is really highly ranked despite the changes. So.
Well, Fire is up there as it usually is, and the truth is, I just don't, if it's just because of Cauterize, I know the damage profile for like high-end Mythic Plus is important, but I don't think the tier lists that I've gotten, like one of them's from Icy Veins, right? Icy Veins isn't talking to the plus 20 crowd. They're not talking to the MDL crowd. But I do want to close this segment by saying, please, for the love of God, do not pick a spec based on where it is on anyone's, including ours, tier lists. Play
the tier
what
list,
you want to play.
Or do.
Well, don't play a feral druid.
Most of the tier lists I've seen, it used to be more based on like what they thought DPS wise, but a lot of people seem to be putting out like vibes based tier lists.
We do.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. Like they're putting out like
they got the message from us and they said we got to change our tone.
Yeah. Their tier lists are like
based.
these classes will be the funnest classes to play, or these classes have the most potential to be fun, or like it's more vibes. They seem to be switching off of the whole like this is going to do the most DPS.
I'd even say though.
I feel like it.
Go on.
I was just to say, I think they're just saying the quiet part out loud. Like, tier lists are always based on vibes. Just people say they're not. It's like, dude, it's literally always based on vibes.
It was an admittance of, and I think I mentioned this episode, maybe it was not even the same episode of the Odyssey, but where Dratnos, Max, and I think it was Growl, was like, tier lists mean nothing, but we do them because they just get a ton of clicks, right? Like, they
get a ton of dissent,
it makes some money,
you know?
right? Yeah, because, well, one, everyone loves ranks, right? Everyone loves, top 100 this, or, these are the top 10 books of all time, or whatever. Everyone loves looking at them. I don't even read that often, but I would read the top 10 books of all time list, right? But, of course, as you pointed out, Scrap, there's also dissent. So, like, let me argue with everyone on
the books.
Yeah, on tier list. Yep.
Let me argue with everyone. Go into the comments of Dratnos' tier list and say, or, hey, Tettles, you're an idiot. Why'd you pick Balance? No one plays that class. So again, I'm doing this more of just a science experiment to see, does the finger actually read the pulse of the game, let alone the community? And so we'll try to compare this in the data going forward. But this is a very early reading of the tea leaves, and we'll see how it goes. Okay?
Yeah. See how it goes.
Yep. I'll update this on the website, and we'll probably keep track going from there. Scrap. Speaking of eating hats,
I'm not eating shit.
I think you need to eat some hat, because it looks like there may be a new login screen coming very soon.
They're better.
I'm
not eating my hat.
Ironically, I was hoping
some glue. Apparently,
I was hoping that we would see a beta release today, a new patch. But as you just pointed out, they got things so wrong yesterday that they probably had to push that off, and now more of my money is going to waste. But yes, there are, I can't remember which ones it was, but there are some things that were like, okay, well, why is this showing? Like Bush, why is there, what there's no Bush on this screen,
putting our favorite character, Bush,
bridge. Wait.
The Bush
Sleepy
emoji
Bush
is making its debut in game.
The Bush from Plunderlord, dude, he's my favorite guy.
Scrap, remind me of the Bush emoji when we get to the question of the week, okay?
Yeah, Bush emoji. Okay, yeah, dude. That was some of the most fun WoW playing I've ever had.
It was great. So anyways, I just bring this to your attention because do you feel like okay, let me ask this. Do you think that this was their intention all along, that they just put this in as a filler, or do you think they're reacting?
Ass covering. Totally. This one I won't say 100. I won't say 100% on ass covering for this, but because everybody did talk about it, so like that got people talking. I could see this as a PR stunt of like people are talking about something so stupid and so easy for them to knock out of the park as a load screen, right? There's gonna be no bug fixes for the load screen. It's an easy fucking home run. They do a good load screen. So they said we're not gonna do a good load screen. So when they come in, they're like, we got you guys. We're actually going to do the most amazing load screen you've ever seen. Everybody's going to love it unanimously. I'll love it unanimously. I'm not going to eat my hat, but like there will be, I will
That's just my transition.
Unless if substantial evidence comes out to the contrary, I will be mumbling under my breath, nice save. Like good job covering your ass on this one.
It's of my opinion that they probably intended to do this all along, and
of course it's your opinion. You said the paladin changes are not covering their ass.
No. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that this original screen was their intention, and they're saying, okay, let's fix it because it's obviously.
Yeah, after watching all our conversation about it, of course they want to fix it.
Yeah.
We lost
They were
technique.
probably
Technique,
honestly.
your phone died.
Do you want to reset real quick or
Let's
plow
let it
through?
go. Who cares? No one needs to see his
Yeah,
dumb
who
face.
cares? We can
Can
edit
you hear
him
me?
in.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
just
we
put.
can hear you.
I'll put his emoji in.
Okay, but I mean, I was saying they probably really were when they were like
I'll fix
cutting
it.
costs and assigning things. They're like, you know,
Cutting
you on this, you on
costs.
this, and they're like, okay, load screen. Nobody cares about the load screen. We can cut the budget on that, and then everybody cared about it, and they're like, fuck.
Wow. Everybody but me.
Okay, everybody but you, because you're Blizzard's favorite son, I guess. But
No, I was just like, it's a
everybody
load
else
screen.
cared. There's
We-
nobody else who I've talked to who have been like, "Oh, that sucks."
We have to be
Doesn't-
very
Haywire.
careful because I don't think this is a guarantee, and it would I think
yeah.
only anger more people. Like you'd probably be more
If
angry
it's
knowing
not.
that they're like, oh, we were thinking about it, but we're not doing
Wait,
it.
hold on. They're not saying they data mine something. They didn't
data
come
mine-
out and said,
they
"Oh,
data
we're
mined. They data mined something that literally says it's referring to the what's called the main menu, and that it has assets associated
Can
with
you
it.
clarify
okay.
what you mean by the main menu?
Yeah, because it could be the warband screen.
So
like
the reason why
Bush
they
and
the reason why
Clouds
they
and-
think the reason why they think it is because, and again, I'm not going through all these right now, but like the portal
within
swirl, all
Bush.
that stuff, ring edge, right? So that's why they think. I guess.
I mean, that could be things for the warband screen, don't you think? Or is it in a different place? I don't really understand.
What
So.
I mean, what would be your
'Cause there's
answer
bushes
to four
the
different
warband.
foreground assets?
Maybe you could pick different
mid-grounds
foregrounds. You could pick different foregrounds for your warbands. Like,
No.
we're going to be in Kalimdor or something.
No, they are going to do that, but they have already told us that's not coming anytime soon.
Okay.
So why would they be putting in the beta if it was that? You know, again, there is
I don't
obviously there's jumping to conclusions, but you know, I'm under the impression that they manifest interface data. I don't. Anyways, I don't know. I'm not really worried about it, but I just thought you would want to know that.
Maybe they're just doing a ton of work on the next expansion's load screen because they know they really got to put some time into it. They better start now.
there is a idea that maybe this load screen kind of evolves, right? So like when it launches or 11.0 pre-patch will look like this, and then 11.0.1 whenever they launch the actual game in August, like it'll open up to something, or maybe it like has
I'm not going to give them credit for speculation on the.
No,
on
but
Blizzard's
that's not my
part,
question.
You know what I mean?
My question is, would you like if they did that, where it like kind of evolves throughout this?
If they did anything, I'd be like, nice save. Like, this is the ground. This is nothing. This is just slightly better than a black screen. Like, in my opinion, if they did anything with it, it would be such an easy fucking win.
If they put the Dragonflight screen back, would you say that's a win?
If Alex Straza, the same JPEG, or not JPEG, the same animated PNG GIF of Alex Straza flying in and going, wah, and then flying off, I'd be like, better than nothing, you know? So,
fair enough.
that's just me,
Hey,
though.
text
I
back. Good to
care
have you back,
about the
bud.
load screen.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh man, that was funny. Cool. All right.
Thanks,
Okay.
back.
Let's we'll kind of these will domino into each other. So first and foremost, we have a little bit of a change to not only how the raids launch, both from Dragonflight to War Within, but also just in general what we're used to. So I'll kind of go over the current state. What happened in Dragonflight, which they tested, I think with Season 1, the Mythic raid would launch the same week the Heroic raid would.
Mhm.
And this was really only for the 1%ers, the Race to World First groups that made any difference. Everyone else was kind of like, oh, well, we have access to it now. That's nice. But, you know, they may have not done it right away. But it did mean that the Race to World First would have a lot of heroic splits, which for anyone who's ever watched it knows that's not only a huge chunk of time of what you're watching, but it can be a little boring. They are changing it up, not from necessarily the Race to World First part of it, but kind of returning back to what they did in the past, but also because of the changes they made to Mythic 0 and Mythic Plus in general, are trying something new. I want to see what you guys think about it. So here's how it works. The pre-patch has gone live. We'll have the expansion event go live next week, and then of course we have the War Within launching early access the 22nd, and then the full launch on the 26th. So that's 26 is week 1. All right. 2 weeks later, Season 1 will begin with Heroic Raids, Raid Finder Ring 1, M0 dungeons, and the Heroic dungeons will switch to the seasonal dungeons. So you'll go from The first 2 weeks having access to all 8 of the new dungeons in Heroic. On week 3, the start of week 3, I should say, having 4 of the new dungeons and 4 of Grimbatal, Necrotic Wake, Mist of Tyrannosis, and Toll.
You're gonna have to remind
Vigor.
me. I thought so. I don't do heroics much, and really just jump right into Mythic 0. Like in Dragonflight, you could do all the Dragonflight dungeons as heroic, like throughout the seasons, right? Or
Yes.
is that wrong?
This is
Yeah.
different.
So
Now,
Yeah,
Scrap,
I don't know
remember,
if I like that.
Heroic is now supposed to be the new...
it's
Mythic
supposed to be
Zero.
the new Mythic 0.
Nah, I don't want to say
Yep.
it's that hard. It's going to be harder, right?
They're bumping
Well,
up the
that's what they said is
Yeah.
Heroic is
But
now
I guess
the old Mythic Zero.
their intention for heroic to prepare you for Mythic Plus, as
Yes,
opposed to
yes.
before when it was just like, it's slightly more difficult than regular dungeons, but not to prepare you for Mythic Plus.
Now,
Exactly.
There is more to that too, because they normally would launch Mythic Plus this week as well,
Mhm.
and limit the gear you could get. Like they'd say if you did anything higher than a 6, you wouldn't get any gear, right?
Yeah.
They're not doing that for 2 reasons. 1, Mythic Zeros are harder, of course. Mythic Zeros will now have a daily lockout instead of a weekly lockout.
Mhm.
All right. And Mythic Plus will launch with the Mythic Raid, which, maybe thematically makes sense as well. So, yeah, a change to the season. I think it actually might be better for some of, like, let's say the rest of us, what this podcast is geared towards, because we aren't the type that will grind a ton of heroics week 1. Scrap, you won't even probably make it to level 80, it sounds like.
No, I will not. Not week 1.
And even if we do, I'll at least get to see some of the other dungeons in heroic, and then switch to the new season where I have at least 4 of them change.
I might miss the dungeons. Because
You know what I
it
miss?
take 2 weeks to level. I might miss the heroic dungeons of all the War Within ones.
I don't think it
I
will.
hate that like we're
Might.
getting into an expansion that's a month away and literally every single update is about the end game of that expansion. Like where the fuck is the leveling experience
I'm hoping
and the story and the damn
Technique.
like
I'm
time
hoping
to play
all
the
that
game?
stuff is
Shani,
done, so they're not making posts about it.
Is he seriously going on about this again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's not gonna stop going on about it.
It's annoying, man.
What
I
is
will
annoying?
say-
We've
We're gonna
talked about
be
this.
in the end game on fucking day 2.
No, you will.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, slow
Why
down.
would they?
I would like
You're
the
asking
rest
for
of
them
the
to
guild.
cater to your 2-day experience. Why would they do that?
No. Well, I said earlier, like I want it to take weeks to get to 70 or 80, where the fuck the cap's gonna be.
So
It
slow
should take
down.
weeks.
It's gonna take me weeks.
I'm gonna
Slow
say,
down.
okay,
No,
so
it won't.
Hold on, I'm making a
From
note. I'm going to time
looking-
how long it takes for Technique to get to level.
from looking at this chart though, so like it goes live, 8?
Pre-expansion goes live.
Yeah, no, 8/22. War Within early access starts.
Which, by the way, they added a day to their early access. It was supposed to be
Okay.
Friday, now it's Thursday.
So 9/17 is when the raid story difficulty opens.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that this is my inference into it, or whatever that word's supposed to be. My thought of it is they expect the average player, so not maybe us, to be ready to be at end game-ish
We'll call
by
it the casual
9/17. Like the average player 9/17, they think it'll take them almost a month to
3
level.
weeks.
Yeah,
4
3
weeks.
weeks is a
Almost a
good long time.
4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks. They're expecting it to take 4 weeks for the average person to hit, like where they're like, I want to do the
That or
raid
we're gonna
story.
be sitting on our hands after we're. I mean, and honestly, now
Not
that I'm
for
looking
you,
at that timeline, the way that you just read it out, it's like okay, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I hope so.
3
Fair.
4
I
weeks.
hope I'm leveling
It's,
Now-
for
it's
that
4
3
weeks.
week
It's 4
period.
weeks from the early access.
Yeah.
Now the other thing too is like, I mean, that's saying all you do is focus on strictly leveling, but there's going to be like profession stuff to do. You know, there's going to be. They already said they're putting more open world content in the game.
Delves.
Yeah, delves will be in there to do. The new world boss starts on week 9-10, so that's like a week before the other thing. I think technique that you could. Yes, people are going to look at the quickest way to get to 70
I
or
don't do
80.
that.
I mean, but like they're still going to try to grind to 80 to start their
What?
like journey so that when
What
M
do you
plus
want,
rolls around,
Technique? You just said you're going to take the
just-
fastest
said what he
route.
wants.
Do you want them to
What?
make that as long as possible?
When did I say that?
I thought you just said that when you said some people, and you said I will.
What? No, I said I don't do that. He said
okay.
people are going to go as fast as they can to 80. I said I don't do that.
I mean,
You know, I'm not going to dilly-dally around and take every single side quest, but like I'm going to
see, I take all
enjoy
the
the
side
living
quests.
experience.
You're going to have to take side quests.
Have to take
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, and I get that. Like I'm going to do what I got to do to get to 80, but I'm not going to just fucking grind as hard as I can to get to 80 as fast.
And
as
remember,
Yeah.
you don't need groups now to do normal dungeons. So part of the leveling experience is that you can just
Oh,
do it by yourself.
I haven't. Is that good? Have you tried that, Frank?
I
The
haven't
soloing
personally
dungeons?
tried it because like I've heard it's great. It does exactly what you want it to,
Right?
and you know,
Is
massively
it
single
fun?
player online gaming.
Yeah. Okay. Shut up, Technique. I think it's a cute opportunity, but is it like you just have NPCs that are tanking and
Yeah.
healing and stuff?
Yeah.
And DPSing, whatever.
and
you
they'll
do.
drop water for you and stuff.
Do they talk?
Yeah, they do.
I love that. I'm
Discord.
super excited for that.
So
yeah,
you can
in
now
Final Fantasy,
go
they
your
do
own
that.
pace.
Yeah, okay, that I was gonna say I do feel like getting, the only thing I feel a little bit like I don't really like it. It's not gonna ruin my experience, but all the heroic dungeons going out of rotation before I might even get to them to see them at a heroic level is like I feel a little bit rushed. But if I could do them by myself at my own pace when they come up in the story, like that's cool. Yeah, I like that. I'm hopeful for that.
No, maybe they're not
mechanic.
on PTO any longer. They're back in office.
Okay, Frank, I'm honest. I call it like I see it. They do something good. I'll
we
say that's
appreciate
good. They do something
that
bad.
you're not on just the train of negativity.
Frank, I never am.
Well,
I
let
never
me
am.
see if you get
never see
negative
me.
about this part. Okay.
Let's hear it.
So, there are people, and I will refer to Tettles right now because he was the one that first kind of made a stink about it. That are upset that people who are doing Mythic raids are going to have a better gear track than people who do Mythic Plus, unlike what has been in the past. Okay, I'll try to explain this as best as I can. So, if you did and Mythic Plus, right at the end of the dungeon, you would get a hero track gear, right?
Yep.
Well, now they're
Yes.
only awarding Mythic track for the Great Vault if you do a +10. So they've already closed that gap from what was +8 to get a Mythic track gear to now +10.
Okay.
And his argument is that people who play Mythic Plus are not going to see the same item level gear score that Mythic Raiders would, because they're all going to see Mythic Plus or Myth track gear as their Mythic rating. But people who are doing Mythic Plus will live and die by their Great Vault, giving them the perfect Myth gear item.
Well,
I don't-
I already do that.
Well, I was going to say, maybe it's because the item levels, I think that's what it is. I think that there's a bigger gap between Myth track gear. Yeah, okay, here, so it is. So like hero track gear would usually overlap Myth track gear by 2 levels. So like your hero 4 would match the same as a Myth 2, I think.
Okay, but
And
the
now-
myth goes up to 6, right? Or 4?
No, it goes up to 4. And now
You can upgrade it though.
Myth, yes, you can. But like, if you're at a hero 6, it would be the equivalent of a Myth 2, right? But now hero 6, I think, is going to match with a Myth 1. And there will be a little more eye level. I think it was a difference of what was 6 is now 13 eye levels, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So his concern is, well, now there's a bigger gap between people who Mythic raid versus people who Mythic
Can
Plus,
I give
and
a
more
controversial
people.
opinion?
Yeah, go.
I think Mythic rating is a lot harder than Mythic Plus.
That's not
Like,
a controversial opinion. I agree with you 100%.
Okay, no, but like logistically, it's always kind of shocked me that you can get like all the Mythic gear and transmog by catalyzing Mythic Plus gear. You know what I mean? Like I can get the full Mythic set with the catalyst or whatever, or in my vault.
with
because
vault,
yeah, but because like getting a Mythic together, like a Mythic raid together, you need 20 people. It's hard as fuck, dude. I mean, the progression Mythic raid is like you need people. You need to get 20 people all not fucking up. Mythic Plus, you only need 5 people not fucking up. And even then, you can fuck up a little bit. You just gotta complete it. You don't even have to time it. You just have to get the key. You just have one dumb friend who will let you into the key, and you can get that myth track.
Even
gear. You know
beyond
what I mean?
that,
And that's absolutely your strategy, isn't it?
See, I'm somebody with
Dumb friend's gonna
experience.
take me this week.
Yeah, somebody with experience doing that, it's always kind of, I always felt a little bit like I'm getting a really good deal, that I'm
Yep.
getting the same gear as these Mythic Raiders for doing so much less work.
Effort,
So
but
this
less
seems
effort.
like less effort.
Because they
less
also
skill.
like get 2 or 3 items per boss, and then have to
Yeah,
come
I
back
mean,
next week and spend 3 hours
early-
doing
No,
it
I
again.
think
Well, yeah,
maybe
and
it's
early- yeah,
maybe
go
it's
on,
an
Signy.
incentive to say, hey, we want some more people doing Mythic Raid.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know what
so.
the numbers look like that say like how many people are doing Mythic Raid, but it's got to be fucking low because there's no. It's like we've been saying 1,000 times. Like, why would I do heroic raiding?
do you
and then
think
go and do
Technique
the
Scrap's
Mythic.
idea or viewpoint is controversial?
No, I think it's.
Well, I was just basing
it
on
makes
Tettle's, I
sense.
guess. I don't know if Tettle's opinion is the common one of like, oh, it makes it harder to get gear. Like, for once, I'm taking Technique's side. It should be harder to get
For
good
once.
gear.
What is,
Yeah,
you guys are like
for
2
once.
peas in
Shut
a
up.
pod often.
Yeah.
No. On this particular subject, I think he's when he says things need to be harder for just arbitrarily, and that there should not be any kind of accessibility mode for people who don't want to like.
No,
grind
he
this
wants it
game
even
like a
harder than
sweaty
it
nerd.
currently is.
No, I know. I don't agree with that, but I do think I don't mind. Mythic, rating is a lot more difficult. Like, you can't, and Mythic. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm just saying this makes sense to me. I'm not fussed about it. I already am trying to get Mythic gear out of my vault anyway. And it's everybody. It's not like anybody. If all your friends are doing Mythic Plus, like, they're in the same boat as you. Some people are gonna be lucky. Some people are gonna be unlucky. It's okay, dude. Chill, relax. There's many weeks in the season. You're gonna get that gear. It's fine.
I think we
I-
might
Catalyst.
see now that we've got cross-platform guilds and or cross
My
everything but
PlayStation Guild is doing really
cross-platform.
well.
Everything but cross-platform guilds. Can you raid with those guild members now?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Okay.
Mythic
So
Radio.
yeah, I think this might be the play. They're trying to say like, hey, let's get more Mythic raiding going on.
And they're putting the
Maybe.
easy mode thing in, so like, yeah, I guess they're trying to make Mythic rating more
I forgot about that too.
attractive, more accessible.
So I can go gear my
yeah.
character, my alts, my 50 alts solo, and just do heroic with my AI buddies as I solo through, and then come and play, Mythic raids. Yeah.
What are you
this is a
talking
good strat.
about?
I don't know what he's talking about. He's so
I can solo
Ramblings of
through
a drunk
heroic.
man.
Not drunk.
Technique. You can only
drinking water.
run. You can only run the follower dungeons on normal.
I thought
don't
you
even
said
think-
heroic earlier.
No,
No,
normal is
no.
where you can do it. Leveling.
We were just
All right.
talking about
Rewind the
heroic
tape.
dungeons.
Cut that out.
No,
Oh
what
yeah,
it was,
so I was talking about
technique is-
dungeons.
Yeah, we were talking about heroic dungeons, but not that you could take
And then
your
we talked
followers
about
for
the normal
heroics.
dungeons because she said she wouldn't be able to see even all the dungeons before she got to level 80. And I said,
Yeah.
you could do it while you're leveling up with the follower dungeons.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I love
Who's
that.
ever
Not
been
necessary.
into a normal dungeon?
I
Yeah.
have.
You do it as part of the story.
I want to get the quest done when I'm leveling. I'm like, yeah, I'll just go do a quick
when you're
dungeon, get the
leveling.
bonus, etc.
Also, you're
Mhm.
leveling your alt. All you're doing is normal dungeons. What the hell? Like,
So,
gonna do the story all over again.
Shawnee, I haven't heard your opinion. Are we unanimous that this is probably fine because Mythic rating is a lot harder than Mythic Plus in our opinion?
I actually agree on the basis that it's harder, so you should be rewarded for it because, like, we don't Mythic raid because we're all like, it's hard, and why do we want to bash our heads against the wall even more?
But we can do
Now-
plus 10s.
Yeah, sure, and I'll like hope for a good vault, just like I always have. Even when
Yeah.
we do heroic, I'm still hoping for a good vault.
you don't even need to time the 10. You can spend 2 fucking hours in it. Like, that's what's
I
crazy.
will say, it definitely makes
You
the
can spend 2
idea.
fucking hours.
Yeah, I will.
It definitely makes Mythic rating tempting in the sense of, say, 1 week we're on like Tuesday when we raid, we get the first 9 bosses down and we prog on, the 10th boss for like the other hour. I wouldn't be opposed to us saying like, well, maybe we'll go do the Mythic boss, the first Mythic boss, and get him done, so we get like a piece of gear for a vault.
Well,
Yeah.
and the buffs that you get to nerf the bosses, so the 45% we talked about last week, you probably only get from killing bosses on that difficulty. So we'd want to start killing some of those bosses. to
I'm
start-
not saying
You
I want
said
to.
you weren't going to use that. Last week
Yeah,
you said you're
you were
not
gonna
going to
use
in
it.
turn it on.
heroic, not
So
in
we're not
Mythic,
gonna
because
use
I have
that.
zero interest in rating Mythic to begin with.
I will say I'm not trying to say that I think we should all start doing Mythic.
No.
I'm just saying it's more looking at it, it's more tempting to be like, well, let's go to Mythic for one boss.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's totally fair. If something's way harder, you should be rewarded better. On that guy's video, he was saying basically like, now I feel I need to run Mythic rating so I can keep up with my friends that are going to be doing Mythic Plus with him. So
Yeah.
I see where he's coming from, but I mean, for the average person, that's not an issue because, say, for all of us, it's like none of us are running out to go do a Mythic raid, so I don't have to keep up.
What really
Yeah.
got me kind of giggling about
Or doing
Tails'
a plus
video,
20.
man. We're talking about Tails' video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he makes all these bitchy ass complaints and how much he's gonna throw his
Jesus.
table up against the wall and
He's
how
gonna
much
do. He's
like
gonna do a review of our
he's gonna go like
Oh god.
that's fine, and then he's gonna go like on a shooting spree or whatever and get all his anger out, and then he's like,
Jesus.
Can
"But
we
I'll
even say
fucking
that
do
on
it, man.
YouTube?
But if that's what they're gonna make me do, I'm gonna fucking do it, man. I'll fucking do it." And I'm like,
What's the
"Why'd you
point,
bitch about it,
Teddy?
man? I'm saying, don't fucking complain about it. If you just say, fine, I'll fold. I'll do it, Blizzard. I'll do it. You're gonna make me do it. I'll do it."
You're saying he should have thrown the table on camera?
Like, if you're gonna make all those complaints and shit, I would stand my ground. I just dropped something.
do-
here.
Like, I do understand where he's coming from, though, because I
Like,
would
don't think
feel
I
the same
do.
way. I understand
why
the
are you
idea
gonna
that
come out and be like, "Oh, I've been forced now to play more
No.
content in the game that I love and make videos about all day."
I understand his point of, say, if all of us, say E-Team decides, yeah, we want to get a Mythic boss down every week. And you know how I feel about raiding. I barely want to do heroic, but I do it. And then we're going to run dungeons, and you're like, hey, Shawnee, looking at your gear, and you're not doing your one Mythic a week, and you're holding us back from getting as high as we want to.
Would E-Team ever say that?
Yes. When
You
it comes
think-
to
No.
healing.
You think?
When it
So,
comes to healing, you said that, not us.
no. Oh, don't make me go back through my DMs.
No.
Um,
I never DM you.
no.
and if it was, it
no.
wasn't about gear.
Yeah.
So, either
What's
way,
it about then?
just my overall skill and how I should.
No, Divine Toll.
jump
That's
off
what it was
the end of a
about.
boat.
Divine Till. Oh, so it was Frank DMing you about Divine
Of
Till.
course, it was Frank. He
Christ.
played,
Oh,
holy
man.
for like 2 weeks, and he knows
You're
everything
gonna
about
get
it.
cut, dude. It's a raid leader in him. He wants to cut people. It's just in his nature.
But no, I'm not saying you would, but I also would feel the pressure to, like, if I was significantly behind, I would feel the pressure to be like, I should go do this, so I'm not dragging my friends down.
You wouldn't be significantly behind because you still are getting the right now current state. We only can get Myth Track from the vault still. It's just that
Mhm.
now I have to do a 10 instead of an 8. And I think
Yeah.
that's where
Fine.
like there is a bigger gap between the Myth and Frankenberry is in all Myth gear except for his ring and one of his trinkets. Trinkets is the only space that I see this being a potential huge deal because like that, the trinket makes such a big difference. But everything else, like, your weapon obviously is important, but I think you can craft it between the Myth and Hero track. And it's like, yeah, I mean, but like, I'm going to do the vaults just like I did in Dragonflight and get all the Myth gear just like I did in Dragonflight and not raid Mythic. To my response, Shawnee, I'd say, if we were pushing, like if we decided we wanted to become I'm not going to say an MDL team, but like if we wanted to become a cutting edge, or not cutting edge, 0.1% the title team,
Mhm.
right? Like, yeah, maybe then we'd sit there and have a conversation about it. But the truth is, Shawnee, you'd be doing 10s with us long before we'd be doing this, 18s or whatever.
All I'm saying, I see his point. I'm
Mhm.
not saying I agree with him. I can just see where he's coming from. I think Mythic should be rewarded. Mythic rating should be rewarded higher, like
Yeah.
it is.
And
But
the
I
other
can see.
thing,
I get what he's saying. I don't agree that, but I understand where he's coming from. I don't agree with him.
the other perspective, like from his whole video, is like he's speaking about the M plus only players, right? He's saying, I as an M plus only player now feel the need to go and do Mythic rating to benefit my group
M
more.
plus.
Okay, dude. Well, if your group is an M plus only group, that argument's moot. Because everyone's in the same boat that you're in as far
Yep.
as what loot they're getting.
He's not exclusive to that, though, but yeah, I get what your point is.
Well, that's what he made the statement in his
He
video.
is the M
like,
plus only, but not his
I'm the M
group.
plus only player. Okay, fair. But B, if you want to be an M plus player, no matter what season you're in, this season or the next, like you're going to get more chances at Mythic quality gear if you're raiding Mythic. So do that
I-
if you're going to be
Well,
the
Yeah.
M plus
Here's-
pushing key guy.
But going back to my trinket
That's all I'm
point,
saying.
like most often trinkets are the best in raid. Like, think of Polaris or whatever. Like that was a top trinket for me in season 3. And so now I'm already gonna want to go into Mythic to get that trinket. That already existed. And on the inverse, think of the people who are raid only raiders, right? Who have to go into Mythic
Yeah.
Plus to get their trinkets.
Oh,
Right?
like there's been. I agree. Like some of the guilds I've been in, they're like, yeah, you have to have your whole vault. I've been in guilds where like when PvP gear was actually viable outside of PvP.
Yeah.
I've been in guilds where they expect their cutting edge players to have their entire
Every
like
slot,
9
every
slots in their vault. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I would quit that guild really hard and really fast.
well, that
Tell
was
me what
for
to
their
do with
like
my time.
CE team and stuff. Can
Can I play a bit of devil's advocate?
Sure.
Because I'm assuming
That sounds
Tettles.
delicious.
I'm assuming Tettles is somebody who runs like 15 plus, right? Like
Yeah, he's
high
a
keys?
title
used to.
player.
It'll
He's a
be
title
10
player.
pluses
He
now.
hosts
No,
the
no, no.
MDL and Great Push.
I'm kidding.
MDI.
MDI, sorry, MDI.
Yeah, MDI. I can understand the frustration of like you need really fucking good gear to push high, to
Yeah.
push keys high, and like if you can't get gear that's like you can't like get gear from a 15 that's going to help you with a 15, you know?
But you can't now
Like-
either.
Yeah, well maybe he doesn't like that. I don't know.
The
But-
only
but
difference is
for-
that the item level gap has grown. So like
Yeah.
in the past you'd be like, well, it's close enough.
So it's worse.
That's not,
You
that's not the
can
only
say
difference
it's-
because now the challenge really starts at Mythic 0, not Mythic plus 1 or 2, right?
That's
so
fair.
I
but
think
let's say he still wants to push it out
the numbers
high
climb, but
end.
also the difficulty's been.
Yeah, but he's also the
Harder with
person
the
that
lower
on
number.
week 1 is probably running 10s.
Yeah. No, I know. I get it. I'm just saying that like this, maybe they need to put in something for those players who push high. That like maybe at like a 15, there's like
more
another-
affixes or something.
You get well, they already done that, but you
Yeah.
can get like higher mythic gear or like 2 piece or a mythic gear actually drops from the dungeon at a 15 or something like that. I don't know how to balance it, but I can understand the frustration. Whereas like you're in mythic raid and the gear that you get from mythic raid is actively helping you get better at mythic raid and clear more bosses. Whereas if
reason-
you're doing like a plus 15, you're not getting anything out of the plus 15 that's going to help you in a plus 15.
The
That'd be
reason why they
frustrating.
don't though is because they don't want degeneracy to the race
They
to
don't
war
want you to
first.
farm it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but to your point, if we're going in and we're making these changes, why not implement then at 15 and above? You only get 1 roll that week for the gear. So like if you do a 15 or a 20, you probably should do the 20 first. Well, no, because it wouldn't go any higher.
No,
So
yeah.
it doesn't matter. You can do a 15 all across, but you only get 1 roll at gear in that dungeon, and then for the rest of the week, there's no more gear coming from it.
So you get one piece that's hot, that's sexy.
1 potential piece.
What if it's bracers? That sucks.
That's how raid works. You go into raid and
No,
everyone
I
gets
hate
bracers. And in fact,
They need to.
in raid at least it's not personal. It's not even personal loot. So like bracers, 4 leather bracers drop for the entire DK paladin raid. And then it's like, well, that was
Yeah.
useless.
All I'm saying is I can understand Tella's frustration, but for people who aren't just trying to push keys as high as they can, they're just like pushing it, to 10 and around 10, a little bit higher maybe. It's like this is fine because like the gear I'm going to get out of a 10 is going to help me in a 10. The gear I'm going to get in a vault from a 10 is definitely going to help me in a 10. So it works out for me. But I guess because pushing keys is indefinite, you just push it as high as you can. Whereas Mythic Raid has a end goal; it doesn't get any harder than a certain level. Yeah, it's
fair for him to say
the
like this is going to create a
frustration.
gap. But what I would
Yeah.
simply respond with is that you're probably getting gear because again, there's RNG still in raid, and there's still 20 other people you're rolling, or 19 other people you're rolling against. So
Yeah.
like you're not like I would want a data table to show me like how quickly does the raider get gear versus how quickly he does. Yeah, they might get like 1 mythic piece every other week
you also
faster.
get
Might
the vault
4,
rolls.
who fucking knows?
Oh well, I guess their vault also is helping
You
out
get
too.
the vault rolls too,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
that's also huge.
So at least 1 every week. Okay.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Okay. Well, like I said,
So,
I'm
next one.
supportive of the idea though that the raid is harder and should get
For
yeah.
people at our level, this is, I think, fine. I think it's in
Well, it's
fact a
definitely
good
fine, yeah.
change because it's like we shouldn't be able to roll in and spend 2 hours on a 10 and get the same level of gear of somebody who's like in their peak performance. They're like 20 years old and have amazing reflexes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just fair.
20 years
I don't
old.
think you should get the Great Vault reward if you don't time
Technique said that if
fuck
anyone
you,
can do it,
Technique.
he can do it. So
I
Yeah.
feel like
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people are annoyed by the video because it feels like the version of the rich yelling about rich people problems. And we're like,
maybe.
like,
I
bro,
watched the
That's
video,
you know,
but-
like
yeah,
this is not.
yeah.
When he was yelling about it, I'm like, I don't even understand what he's mad about. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're mad that Mythic players get better gear? I'm like, wasn't that always the thing to me in
Yeah.
my mind? Like everyone I know that runs Mythic level raid always seemed to have higher iLvl than me. So I was like, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Anything else?
No.
Okay. All right. Next topic. We have a new Mythic Affix under the Zalatash
Oh, I'm excited about this.
thing. So first off, there was some nerfs done to, what is it called? Voidbound. So I told you what I thought is how it worked, is that it would spawn where the tank was, but now it will follow the tank. So that's nice.
Oh, okay. So it stays in melee.
It is no longer scaling with fortified, so you don't have to like. It's not like Prideful was, where you're like, what the hell? This thing's not dying. They changed how quickly and how much it increases the damage of other enemies. So, for example, in the past, it'd be every 3 seconds it increases by 10%. I think it lasted a total of 15 seconds, so you'd have like a total of 50% damage buff if you didn't deal with it. Now it's every 2 seconds gets 5%. I think the max now can hit is 45%. And also it will now, I think, persist if you don't kill the Void Emissary, which I think is a fair punishment. And they've changed it so that it is additional 20% cooldown reduction as well as critical strike bonus. So that's fun for people who like cooldown reduction. And then we have our new affix. So it is called Oblivion. While in combat, Xal'atath manifests crystals from the void that can be absorbed by enemies or players. These crystals spawn near enemies and move towards them until they are absorbed by the player or collide with their target enemy.
Oh, you walk through them?
Like you intercept them.
Shut up. I love that.
Players that absorb these void crystals gain a mastery and leech buff.
Tough for classes that have to stand still, but that ain't me, so.
Well, I think I
Love
haven't been able to see this on I don't even know. Did they add this yet? No, they haven't added it.
Strange, like it's a strange buff. Mastery and leech.
Yeah, mastery kind of sucks though for me. So can't they
And
do like mastery and crit or like just like
Well, you know,
base stat or
the crit and cooldown reductions on the other one.
And it says like when
Primary
players
stat,
absorb
maybe.
it, they get the mastery and leech. I imagine the enemy would get the same buff
yeah,
if
it
they
says
get
that.
it.
It says
Mastery?
absorbed by enemies or players.
You know,
Well,
I
no,
see
no,
that, but it
enemies
doesn't-
don't have
but
a
it only
mastery
says
stat.
right. So
Yeah, so
it
what do
just
they
says
get?
that
We don't know yet.
players
It's not implemented
get
fully
what
yet.
respectively. So I can see that being like if it was like, oh well, the dude's gonna get mastery and leach. Well, I'd rather
They-
have that than him. But I
I
really don't
assume
care if
they-
I get it. I just don't want
I
him
assume
getting
they.
it.
Yeah, I'd assume they get leech
Yeah.
out of it.
Well, then maybe get lifesteal or something.
maybe leech.
But
Haste
we
would
don't
make more
know.
sense.
But whatever it is,
Looks
you know,
to me
it's
like a
always
tank
don't
mechanic.
let him get it, right? Just like always.
I like
Uh-huh.
walking around and picking stuff up. It gives me something to do.
Yeah.
So,
As opposed
Yeah.
to the inverse of running away from stuff on the ground.
I'm just saying there's exciting I hate that. There's exciting situations when you see something racing towards a boss that's a buff that you want and you're like, "Oh, I could like
Yeah.
I could get it." You know, like I think that it's
You're
fun.
You're happy that you're moving.
I'm happy. Yeah, I like moving, but I don't play a spellcaster, so I assume that would be frustrating where it's already like you just moved to get out of a big circle and then fuck, I gotta get the mastery. And like weighing, is it like gonna give
You
me
don't
more
have
damage
to though,
than like
because the tank can pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
that'd be
like,
a melee thing.
but it might be like, oh dude, if I could like get
I'm gonna go
maybe
get
you
it.
have stacks that fall off
Yeah,
or
it'll be a,
something. You
it'll
have
be
to
a
keep your
tank,
stacks
especially
up.
if you get the leech, man. Just give it to the tanks.
Let the tank have it all. I like it. I think it's super fun. I'd love to see it, how it plays out, how often it happens. If it happens too often, it can easily become tedious. So
I think that mastery and leech, it should probably just be like randomized. Like, don't just say mastery and leech. Like, just make it like two, like a secondary buff and a tertiary
Secondary buff.
Fine.
I feel like that would be fun, but on the other side,
that'd
I
be
also
way
feel
fun.
like it would dissuade people from like I'm now gonna it's mastery. I'm gonna go want it.
Kidding
Like
me?
go get it.
I
you
don't know, man. Like, if it
What
was
if I
random and
yeah,
you
it's
happen to
random.
get like, if you happen to get like 6 haste buffs in like I don't know, like 6 crit buffs, you'd be like, oh fuck, like,
Oh
and
my
open
God.
up, you know. But if you happen to get like 6 masteries in Leech, you'd be like, oh, this is the same. I don't give a shit, and just
Shawnee,
keep playing.
as a rogue who's played Outlaw, do people like that RNG aspect of rolling the dice?
Nope.
But fuck
Uh,
you, I do. I miss my bombs. They took them away from me in
I didn't like it
survival.
either.
Okay.
I love
I
roulette.
mean, they definitely have fixed the roll dice RNG some, but it's still RNG. And when
Oh,
it first came out, it tanked Outlaw Rogues into like oblivion. No one wanted them in the group because they were like, we can't count on your DPS.
That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go over this next topic quickly. There's a lot to unpack, but I don't think it's really something that our podcast is gonna concern ourselves with. But Chronicle 4 has launched, okay? And 2 major things have come from it. So first off, we have chronological orders changed both through Pandaria, Broken Isles with Legion, and really a lot to do with Battle for Azeroth.
Whatever, I was confusing timeline.
Well,
Shut up.
so I'm going to
It's so
quickly
funny.
try to summarize this, okay? In game, the expansion started off, if I remember correctly, with Jaina going to
You're gonna quickly summarize this. You're starting at the very beginning.
no,
You're
because
gonna
that's the
start
part
with
that
the-
matters. That's the part that matters. Everything else doesn't matter.
She was going to.
She's going
Stormsong
because the Horde have gone to the Zandalari tribe to get
yeah, she needs
more
to get her
ships.
mom's.
She needs to
ship.
get the mom ships, right? And so like these things are happening at the same time. The breakout of the Stormwind stockades with who's the guy that was fighting Sylvanas throughout the whole expansion?
I don't
The
know.
orc guy that was always in the cinematics. Anyways,
Starfang.
Sourfang, right?
Yeah, Sourfang.
Like all these things are happening at the start. To the point where you literally see you literally see Jaina in Stormwind keep saying, "Oh, I got to go get the ships because there's all
Yeah.
Anyways,
Zola's old.
they've changed it all in the Chronicle. Okay,
What?
they say is that the Horde events happen first, and then after the Horde events happen, Jaina goes to Borealis to try to get the Lord Admiral stuff back. And then on top of that, they even are changing like who is responsible. Oh, not this one. Sorry, who is responsible for like the success of a raid? So like they say that these raids were completed by the Alliance, whereas the Iron Docks was done by Horde. And these are dungeons, by the way. Sorry. Shrine of Storms was an Alliance success, not a Horde success. Now, again, I don't think in the grand scheme of things any of these really matter, right?
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get y'all's opinion on the idea of Chronicle coming in and changing, for better or worse, and maybe even like cementing what lore has actually happened. Do you guys care? Like, Scrap, I figure you might have something to say on this, but I'm Technique and Shawnee, do you guys even care? As Shawnee plays Peggle on his phone?
I would like to care. But I mean, I just think it's weird. Like, why would the game not line up with the books and vice versa? Especially if obviously the game is.
It's a lot of writers.
I mean, the game is canon.
Oh wow, you give them the benefit of the doubt, but not the devs.
Yeah.
But what came out first, and then you write the book and say, no, that was all wrong. This is the true canon. Like, what? That's fucked up, man.
Here's the criticism of this, because like all the other ones, like the Legion ones, like okay, they kind of just clean up some mess to make a single timeline, but they usually use words like meanwhile or something along the lines of like while this is happening, this is also happening. But for some reason, they go all in on Battle for Azeroth without like saying, this could be happening at the same time as this, and it does nothing to bolster or benefit the story, other than just confuse the shit out of everything.
Well, in my opinion, a lot of Battle for Azeroth's story was built on a foundation of retconning anyway. So I think that maybe they retconned themselves into a corner, and we're realizing that maybe in a book or something they contradicted something said in a quest. I will give them the benefit of the doubt of that, like just like with like a Marvel universe, like comic book universe or something like that. They have a lot of writers, working with, characters, different writers writing different characters and different races and over the course of 15-20 years you're going to end up with characters changing really quickly, like completely, and events maybe not being straight or being out of order and stuff. So I mean, I think this is good. I like the idea of a Chronicle coming in and saying, no, this is what happened. It doesn't matter that we messed up here or this contradicted that or whatever. It makes sense to me that Battle for Azeroth is getting like they're taking a hatchet to it a little bit because it was confusing and retconny.
Even with the idea
so-
that like something that happened in 8.0 was a result of something that happened in 8.1.
Yeah, I mean,
Sylvanas broke out Sourfang from the Stormwind Stockades after Lady Ashvane was arrested and then freed.
here's what I'll say, Frank, is they can't keep doing this. Like, if they do
Okay.
it once, they're doing it right now. It's like, okay, there's some head writers come in, he's trying to clean everything up and being like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Can we just like fix this and stuff? But if they come back to Battle for Azeroth in like 2 expansions, they're like, actually, that happened before that 8.0 happened before 8.1. You know how we said originally. Like if they keep going back and doing this, I would be like, stop. But you know,
Do you think?
it's fine.
Do you think the Chronicle writers work for Microsoft now?
I don't know, man.
What are you talking about?
It's an interesting theory technique. We should unpack that.
Man, it just seems like there's so much like just they're so distraught in there. Where's Chris
No.
Metzen been? I just looked at his Twitter. He hasn't posted since like September of last year.
I feel like, okay, so I'll say this. I feel like the Warcraft universe, including World of Warcraft, has always had really talented writers and really good storylines. The problem is that it has that comic book formula problem of like
Mhm,
there's a lot of
mhm.
writers writing different characters. They
Especially
move
as a
on.
game.
They pass it on. Yeah, as a game, it's even harder because it's like you got the champion who is simultaneously everybody and also one guy, you know, like who's like they've decided to make the player the central character, and in a way, it kind of makes everything not make sense. Like we were supposed to be like the only Maw Walker, and I go to the Maw, and there's like 700 fucking people there.
She's
You know
on
what
her
I mean?
soapbox about mall walking again.
I'm not. It doesn't really bother me, but I'm just saying, like, we're used to the hand waving as playing this game. Like, there's a little bit of hand waving and stuff. It's okay for them to clean the little things up here and there. I'm fine with it. If it becomes a pattern, I'll have more to say about it. How about that?
All right,
I hate Shadowlands, man.
Shawnee,
The story-
anything?
God.
You know, after listening to all your guys' great opinions and valid points, I agree with all of them, and I share
that's
them
nice.
strongly with you, because I have zero opinion on this
is what
whatsoever.
he said. This is what he commented on Teddle's video.
Connie reads every quest and does every quest, but he doesn't care about it. What is that?
I'm not. No,
Why?
I'm not worried about this retell. Like I've done it already.
Oh,
So
okay.
whatever you
Yeah.
say, like I've done it. It's like
The version I got in the game is the accurate version.
I'm not even worried about it. I'm not going to read this book or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't feel like me commenting on it. I'm just like, I don't care.
Well, this
But
is
yes,
what the
I do.
Warcraft show would be about, Shawnee.
Well, that's okay.
Shadowlands?
I'll watch it and
God.
I'll be like, cool. I like the show. And I'll be like, oh, it's not just like the game or something. I'm like, oh, like every show is not just like the game.
Is there any planet where the WoW show would be good? Because I can't.
Yeah.
I hope I would love it. I would just love to watch WoW show. And I'm like, okay, if it's different.
I'd watch
Anyway.
it, but to bitch about it, pretty much.
I have a question of the week for y'all, and then
Okay.
Scrap.
Okay.
I've got a follow-up question of the week that we will even maybe linger for a week's episode next week. But we'll start with today's question of the week. So warbands have introduced a new background / login screen and poses and all that fun stuff. They have told us that this stuff will be coming in the future to add and customize that warband screen. So the question from Roar in our Discord is, what would your ideal warband background / location and poses be if you were given the creative team to make that decision? So I'll start with, I'm going to leave Scrap till last. So I'll start with Shawnee.
Oh, goodness. My ideal background would be Stormwind.
Okay.
Somewhere
Where in Stormwind?
in there.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe like in front of the castle, like the front steps and a fountain or something, and people maybe going by a little bit. That would be my ideal one, because
Okay.
currently all my characters are kind of Stormwindy looking.
So very Alliance themed.
Yeah, I think I'd like the idea if I was like to play a bunch of like Horde characters, I'd want like Ogremeyer or somewhere.
Okay. Technique?
Well, since he gave 2 answers, I'm going to give 2 also. I
Yeah.
think my number 1 would be player housing. I want them in my house. I want my house. I I want
I
my
wish I
family
had-
portraits on the wall. I
That's what it would look
my-
like. Charles in charge. So.
want my dog. Yeah. Like more like Married
Everyone
with
wearing
Children.
sweaters?
Like everyone's sitting on the couch and my hand in my pants and someone's bringing me a beer.
Beak the
you
High
know.
Mountain Tauren with his hand in his
Yeah.
pants. Drinking
Yeah.
beer.
So that's number one. Number two might be.
We are all playing a very different game here.
Let's see, number two, probably a graveyard where it's like all musty and like dark and all my hardcore characters are dead on the ground, but my retail guys are alive and
pile
well.
of bodies.
That'd be cool too. Yeah.
All right, Scrap, what about you?
I don't know. I mean, the thing I expect is like they should have like the way it used to be with like the racial screens, like whatever race you were in that town, you heard that bird song and stuff like that. They should release that for every race. Like you can be in Thunderbluff, or you could be in Orgrimmar, or you could be in.
Wouldn't be surprised
the-
if they did the main cities like quickly.
I think that would be I think that would be the first thing on my wish list is like just like recreate the backgrounds for our characters that we already had, but like in a setting. But yeah, I would like to see like a tavern setting. Like right now, all my guys are at a campfire, so I would like to see them all at a tavern, like an inn, because that's kinda, I think fun.
Hold on, Shawnee.
Get
Hold
out
on,
of
Shawnee.
that.
Hold on,
Change.
No,
Scroll.
don't worry. Don't
I
worry.
want to see that.
Don't worry.
Breaking news.
Yeah, we'll get to breaking news in a second.
We already
okay.
finished
Next week.
questions. Breaking
So
news.
hold on. No, I want to answer
Holy
my
shit,
my
the
part of the
great,
question.
the great
yeah.
sword model size is adjusted? Oh, they made it
Well,
smaller?
they made it bigger, right?
Bullshit. No,
I
they made it
apologize for
smaller.
those listening right now. I pulled
Bullshit.
Wowhead up just to check any late news before I closed out the podcast.
Great time to do that. Let's close the podcast and look at all the news.
No, so
that just
we
came
will
out.
go on ahead and jump back into it because we already talked about this today, but we have a new beta
Christ.
post, a new beta
Oh my god.
thing, and with it comes a new login screen. Now this
Scrap.
is
Is it
drawn.
animated though?
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't look like it's animated. This is drawn, so it's not
No.
like it's an actual,
It's probably concept art. They just pulled it out of a folder and threw it back there. Put a glow on
no,
it.
it's what the
Those
Mage portal.
motherfuckers.
It's the Mage portal. They just blew it up in
It's the Mage
Photoshop.
portal art. Yeah, they fucking took the JPEG and they stretched it out. Had ChatGPT or Midjourney clean this up.
All right, Scrap.
Generative fill.
All right, how happy are you? Because you said anything's better.
I didn't say that. Why did I say that? This is worse.
If
This
this
is
is
worse.
a hint at what's
It's
to
worse.
come, I think it's much better. I think this could become, like we said earlier, like a gradual changing background. I think it's cool. You know, like you go to log in and you zoom into the world through this portal of a. I don't
Not
know.
if it's drawn.
I
I don't
think
think
this
that'll
is
happen.
a piece of art. It's
Yeah.
not a model.
I understand, but yeah. So some idiot data mined this and said, "Hey, everyone, look what I found," and got some clicks. Cool.
No.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to be. I think that,
It's
what she's saying though is like the portal
I
part
don't-
of it that you were talking about. Like this is
Nah, dude.
a drawing, not a.
It's a
like,
drawing.
some
It's not
screenshot.
interactive. Yeah.
Correct. That's not what it's going to be, dude.
He's in denial. Flat
What,
denial.
what? I don't even understand what. Okay.
He just said that's not what it's gonna be, dude. How do you not
It's
understand
fake
that?
news, Frank.
It's fake news. What the
And
fuck?
let's quickly scan through any. All right. So
No,
nerfs.
we can scan through.
No,
this.
just quick.
nerfs. Oh, wait, is there anything
Increase-
about Paladin? Scroll down to Paladin.
Why do you
Getting
want to see
talents?
Paladin?
Yes or no?
Oh,
Are they
oh,
getting
no, they already
No.
have talents. All right.
They
Let's
have
Are they
see.
getting the new ones
Sorry,
Arcane-
Paladins don't have any
Arcane-
talents.
Arcane nerfed again.
by 65%? Holy shit!
But arcane damage was increased. Arcane
Move them
blast.
down.
Well,
Move them
this
down
is like
to D tier.
a reverse. No, this is a reversal of what I think last one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Are you
I know
looking
this
at
is
the current? Is this the
this
same?
is
post
as
we
of
saw?
tonight. This is as of tonight.
Hero
All right,
talent.
Shield of the Righteous increased armor bite, so they kind of undid that for Paladin tanks.
Wait, this is
some
for beta.
more-
This is even for.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
for
for
beta. This is for
beta,
beta. Yeah.
crap.
Hammer
Word
of
of
Light
Glory.
three
What are we talking
instead
about
of
this?
5.
Oh, Paladin's Word of Glory does more healing now. Okay, not bad. What else? Priest.
Well,
Live
Warriors.
news.
Absorbing
I bet,
Priest.
I bet
the
Warriors don't have
podcast.
a single blue thing.
We decided to
don't
make them
deserve it.
2% bigger instead
We'll
of
go-
5%
There's not-
bigger.
Let's see.
There's not-
w-
nobody's on the fucking
rogues
list.
have been down bad. Let's see. Buff. Auto attack damage buff. I don't know. Is suddenly
Yikes.
you have a lot of auto attack damage, Shani?
Yeah, they do.
Actually, white damage, they have a lot.
They I don't know, changed how
Something
Stone
to play
Bulwark
with
Totem worked,
Shaman.
which looks good. These are the hero towns. I'm not going to really focus on the hero towns because we really haven't even seen them to begin with, anyways. Elemental just seems like they fixed some stuff.
Damn, they are
Change,
tearing this up.
restoration,
Warrior.
shamans.
The change was reverted.
We get one line. Impending victory heals for 20%. They already made that change. They already made that change.
They made it even more. They made it more.
They made the same change again.
Yeah, they did it again.
Literally zero change to work. Fuck off.
Awesome.
Oh man, sorry if we went
see
through that really quickly. Maybe we'll have some more time to talk about next week. But okay, I
There'll
had
be
one
another one
question
by
for
next
you.
week.
Yeah, there will be. I had one more
Wait,
question.
Frank, you didn't say what your background would be.
Oh yeah, sorry. I don't care where it is. I think we'll get like a whole ton of choices soon, so that I'm gonna be happy with whatever. What I want though is, you know, that add-on Narcissist where like I use it to make some of the photos for our website.
Pose yourself.
Where
yeah.
you can not only pose yourself, but you have like the entire list of all actions in WoW. Like I want one guy mining in the background. I want another guy like pointing and you know, spitting, whatever.
I really want to bring my battle pets in, or my mounts. Like if I could have a spot where they could be.
Okay. I have a question for you, Scrap, that you need to think about. I will ask everyone to please comment on the YouTube if you have any good ideas. And that question for you, Scrap, is in the background you can see I have my little dragon GIF flying in the background. We need a new one for War Within. I know you can't, but in the show you can. We need a new one for War Within. I think I've asked you this.
Dragons are forever.
They are not featured.
We need a new race against emoji.
Maybe it should just be like a brass wall that's like breaking with the
door
earth
opening to a picture.
I don't think our animated GIF needs to change expansion, like mostly because animation takes me a really, really, really long time.
Sure. Scrap, I don't know if you heard, but we might be able to put ads on our videos now.
Yeah, I don't have time, dude. It doesn't matter about money. But I'm willing to make, most times per season I make an emoji for whatever the raid boss is or something that's happening. So I really, but I don't know anything about War Within still. So
and that's why I'm posing the idea
to talking Azeroth. That's what we have.
Yeah, I should make the load screen an emoji.
You need to make a crying Anduin. Just his face and then a teardrop. We'll do a teardrop.
That'll be fair. Yeah,
that'll be easy to animate.
Something like that
with like Thrall's hand on his shoulder.
No, I mean like fine, whatever.
Animation off the table is
it needs to be a GIF. Okay. One last time, I'm going to remind everyone of our contest. Please take a picture of your favorite styled warband desktops. Yep, not with your phone. We're looking for great transmogs. We're looking for great names. We're looking for whatever you think will personalize it to make it the best warband in the land. Our winner will be awarded some really cool stuff like either free game time or whatever else we can do to those our international, mostly Canadian customers. And then on top of that, Mythic Dungeon League at gmail.com. Email them to us there. I will remind us really quickly of our website, mythicdungeonleague.com, where you can follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch /MDLFrank. Shawnee, thank you for finally updating your YouTube to be MDL Shawnee. I hope the other two will do the same. People know that the brand is there.
MDL Shawnee right now.
You can find our Discord there. You can find previous episodes of the podcast as well as previous episodes of our actual MDL show. We really need to do an MDL show soon. Yeah. Even if we just do even if we just do another Connect 4 or I want to do
Connect 4.
So excited. I told you last week I'm not purposely leveling because I want to enjoy the experience, but I cannot wait to take so many notes so that I can make a great trivia game for us, but also I hope to really make a new bingo card. Right?
New bingo card.
Yeah.
We could do another dragon flying thing too.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be new dragon flying. Yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. You need to hold me to that I need to make those.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
I'll take notes too, but we can do trivia questions.
Okay. Final thoughts, Shawnee.
Final thought is I just got a message from my wife, and it says, "I won't tell you I went to bed, but there will be signs." And I found that hilarious.
Scrap, final thoughts.
No final thoughts. I mean, I said everything I got to say.
Don't like the new Wallachn scream.
It's terrible.
Technique, final thoughts.
Where the fuck is Chris Betson, dude? He's supposed to be running the ship.
Where is Chris?
Haven't seen him on Twitter since
you want him
November.
just tweeting all day. That's why.
No, I want to see I want to feel his presence more than
Technique,
10
he's not
words
tweeting all
at
day
BlizzCon.
because he's writing his wrist off all the new lore.
Yeah, he's writing Chronicle 5 right now.
I was gonna say having to correct what Chronicle's just fucked up.
He's
No,
spending a lot of time whiting shit out. Like,
It's a strange time, man, but I'm trying to remain hopeful that these people can get their art and their shit correct.
I feel so bad that the Warrior one was just one reverted line.
and it was a reversion. It wasn't even a new change.
Anyway, yeah, we'll see, man. I'm excited about the possibilities.
That said, I am looking forward to everyone's warband submissions, and yeah, we'll see y'all next week. So thanks for watching.
Bye.